financial literacy, and the human condition. Welcome to Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Rahaim.
What's the argument? Tell me that.
Oh, just really quick. My car's got about 145,000 miles on it right now. But I paid it off last year. So I've had like a year of no payments. She thinks I'm rolling the dice every time I drive it because a big repair could come up. And I say, well, sure, it could, but I've saved a year's worth of payments. So that's where we are.
Hi, it's Francis. I just wanted to take a minute to thank you for watching this video. If you're catching us on YouTube, please help us help others by clicking like, subscribe, and all notifications so you don't miss any videos. And check back for the next video. I think you're going to love it. Thanks again. For more information, you can visit us at hugyourmoney.com.
Welcome to Financial Fitness. I'm Jess Tyler, along with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Rahaim. Hi.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
I am doing good. And what are we talking about today?
Well, you might have a big decision to make. Your car might be on its last legs. You might be, have a lease that's ending and thinking about, are you going to lease again? What are you going to do? So should you lease again? Should you buy something new? Should you buy something used? Maybe you're thinking you're going to save up a little money and buy a used car. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Is you need a car.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, because I was just having this conversation / argument with my sister yesterday. So we'll talk about that coming up and you can tell me who's right.
Oh, well, that would be very interesting. Okay.
I'll put you in the middle of some family drama.
Why not? I'm kind of used to that. So you need a car in some way. You're just trying to be smart about it. But between the monthly payments, the stress level involved, no matter how happy you are about it, and all the opinions that are flying around, your sisters, the dealers, whatever, it's really hard to feel confident in your decision, I think.
For sure. And then also right now with the tariffs, like, is it a bad time to buy? Like, that kind of weighs into it a little bit too.
Everything weighs into it.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, this is one of the biggest decisions that you'll make and one of the most emotional decisions you'll make. It wasn't that big of a deal when a car cost you, a used car was $1,000 and you could get a beater, and a new car was, $5,000, right? That wasn't that big of a deal. But now cars are costing a quarter or 20% of what a house costs. It might be your house down payment that
for sure.
you're
Yeah.
trying to build forever just to buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big decision now. I did recently have someone call me with this decision, even though they watched our videos that were about, do you buy a used or new and do you lease or not? You get firsthand how emotional this purchase is. So, you smell that new car smell, you picture yourself driving off the lot. The thing that we need to do is slow this down just a little bit. I know you might have to make this decision fairly quickly. Sometimes people's cars just
on the last leg,
they just die, or they just you're at the mechanics, and whatever repairs need to be done are so catastrophic that they don't make sense to do. Now, your plan of I'm going to save up and buy a car, or I'm going to get a car when this car has 20,000 more miles on it 1 year later, is out the window, right? And so now you have to do it. So today's show is not about telling you what you should do. Did you hear me, Jess? This is not about telling you what you should do. It's about giving you a way to see your options more clearly, so that you have the tools you need to make whatever choice ends up feeling like the right one for you.
Okay. So when should you think about buying versus leasing, or is it always a bad idea is it always a bad idea to buy new, I guess is my question.
Didn't I just say we're not telling you what you should do?
Yes, but there's always that temptation for a brand new car, but then you hear, like, as soon as you drive off the lot, it depreciates 10 grand or whatever. That's so right. Then it just seems like that's a bad decision, although it's tempting.
That's exactly right. And what you've just said in a nutshell is why we're talking about this today. So we're going to address all of that and give you the tools you need to have so that is it a right decision for you to buy new or used, or to lease or buy, okay? Because buying a car is not just about the money, right? It's about safety, reliability, pride, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes status even, right? Sometimes people want that car. It is exciting, to get a new car or to think about
Hmm.
buying a new car, but it is also, as I said, really emotional. And so, even though you might love that new car smell and you might love the idea of telling all your friends what you bought and pulling up to work and having people come out and look at it. I mean, we go through all of these things, right? I drive,
Yeah.
I know what cars are like for me. But it's also about fear. And that's what was driving a conversation I had very recently with a client who was in this position. They had to buy a car. A lot of
Hmm.
times people say they have to, and there's another solution. No, this guy had to buy a car. Okay. And so the fear of, well, what do you fear? Taking on too much of a loan, right?
Right.
Getting stuck with a lemon,
Hmm.
making the wrong choice for your future. Like, you thought it was okay now, but something happens a year or two down the road. You don't feel so good about it. So most people don't make their car decisions with confidence. They make them with a sense of urgency.
Hmm.
If you think about every time you've bought a car, I mean, nobody wants to go and pay $48,000 for their car. Nobody, nobody wants to do that. So you put it off as long as you can. Or you go the route of a lease, which we'll talk about too. Is one better than another? No, they're different than one another.
Okay. I will say too, just to add to the emotion part of it I notice, especially with the younger generation, I'm just thinking about my son. It's the new tech in each car. Like a brand new model always has some cool upgrade. So it's wanting that. So it's not necessarily, you want it to be brand new. It's because it's kind of like a CD re-release where they add a new song. They add like one cool feature and all of a sudden you have to have that model.
Yeah, well, I'd love to get somebody who, deals with social aspects to talk about that because I think what you just described is where we've come
Hmm.
in our country or maybe in the world about wanting that. We used to say keeping up with the Joneses, nobody
Hmm.
says that anymore for a number of reasons, probably, but wanting to be on the edge all the time, always wanting to have the newest, best, always wanting to be
Right.
first. Greed really leads, especially here in America.
Mm.
So that sense of urgency I was talking about, coupled with any of those things, even without greed, right? That's where it gets really expensive. That's where you make choices you might not have made otherwise.
Right.
So, the leasing thing can be very appealing,
Hmm.
right? It's a lower payment, lower monthly payment. You still get that new car smell, right?
Hmm.
But with a lower hassle. It's really easy to just go to a dealership, and as long as you get approved for your credit for the lease, you can lease a car without much down payment, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, let's pause on that for 1 second because something you said was really interesting. I've always heard that leases, you have to have great credit to be able to do a lease. So it feels like it's an unfair advantage for people that, have really great credit scores.
I've not found that to be true
Okay.
necessarily. Um, what I have found to be true is that I told myself I wasn't going to beat up on dealers because they're doing their job, right?
Right.
And they fill a necessary void. But let me paint a scenario. You go to a dealer, they sense that you have a sense of urgency
Hmm.
or not. I don't want to make them out to be villains, right? But you find a car you like. Oh, I want this with all the bells and whistles.
Hmm.
It's more car than you can afford monthly. What are your options? The guy selling you the car is going to say you can buy less car, right? Which you don't want because you've fallen in love with this wonderful rolling piece of art. And or we can get you into this car with a lease.
Yeah.
You'll lease it. And here's the mantra. You're only going to pay for the part of the car you use.
Hmm.
You're only going to pay taxes on the part of the car that you're using. Okay? But
It's always a catch at the end too, because most often you go over the miles and then you have a choice of either paying this big amount of money or buying the car outright or getting stuck in another lease. I shouldn't say stuck in because you might want to be in a lease.
you might. I love how I have an idea planned out for these shows. It's always loose. And then something you say makes me think about something else. There is a little thing I just thought of. This is like a little money doctor moment where I tell you the things nobody tells you, right? And most of them come from personal experience. Everybody says, "Oh, you got a PhD in finance, you know everything." Believe me, most of what I'm telling you comes from
Hmm.
the school of hard knocks, okay? And this is one of them. I leased a Mini Cooper the first year they were out. Now,
Hmm.
I leased that car because it was the first year they were out, and I was afraid of bugs, not insects, problems. Okay. And so I thought, well, I'm going to lease it. And then if there's a problem
Well,
with it, yeah, then they're going to handle it. But I also drove a lot of miles. And so a lease
mhm,
was not an optimal thing for me to do. But in digging into the fine print, which is what I always recommend people do, and
mhm,
asking the right questions of a dealer who actually, steered me correctly, what I learned was I could take the lease with a 15,000 mile a year number right now.
yeah.
But if before a certain date, and I don't remember what it was, I think it was 2 years or 2.5 years into the lease, it was quite a ways in.
Hmm.
If before that date I found that I was driving more than those miles and I was worried about getting penalized,
Hmm.
up until that date, I could add more miles. I had to pay for them.
Oh, I've never heard of this.
I know. This is why I'm telling you. I had never heard of
Yeah.
it either. But I called the dealer and I said, look, I'm at, however many miles and I'm going to go over. I want to buy these miles. And at that time, I could buy them for something like a quarter a mile. And the government was reimbursing me like 48 cents a mile for my work, right?
Hmm.
So it totally made sense for me. I did, in fact, buy more miles so that I wouldn't pay the higher penalty. It's kind of like getting gas when you return your rental car.
Rental
Are you
car.
going to
Yeah.
put the gas in, or are you going to let them do it, right? So I
Hmm.
put the gas in. I bought the miles, and it saved me a fortune. And then I liked the car well enough that I sold that car outright. I bought the lease out. I sold the car. I actually did well on it, believe it or not, because it was a hot car that everybody wanted. And I bought
Hmm.
another car. I actually bought another Mini Cooper, but anyway, you could check your lease contract if you're already in one and see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
But I digress into tips. So, so the thing that people are often missing is what you're talking about. At the end of the lease, um, you're faced with the same problem. Now, you might have a penalty if you just want to walk away from the car. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's, 500 or $1,000 if you're not going to buy out the car. There are nice things about the lease, like you know what the buyout will be, and you know that some repairs are going to be covered and all of that. But the tough thing is you're always making a payment. And again,
Hmm.
I used to believe this, okay? I used to because I could get a write-off for my business. Most of our tax write-offs are gone now, but at that time I could get a write-off for my business. I
Hmm.
could drive a nice car for not much money, and I had driven clunkers a lot of my life. I am mechanically inclined, not a mechanic, but I'm mechanically inclined, and between myself and my friends, we could always kind of keep them running, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
But I was tired of it. I just wanted to get in a car, turn the key, have a reliable car, and go somewhere. And it was at a time in my life where I really couldn't afford a huge payment. And
And
so
for the most part with the lease, they will fix it if something goes wrong on it.
the
So
basic
that's a
stuff
little bit
is,
of peace of mind.
that's right, the basic stuff is covered, but so would it be on a new car with a warranty. You'd have
Hmm.
similar coverage. So So anyway, I was leasing and I got trapped in that place that people get trapped in long before I ever did what I do now for a living, right? And I was thinking, boy, every time I lease, my lease is up and I go in and get another car, my lease payment goes up. Well, of course it
Mm,
goes up. The price of cars is going up. So
right.
if you're going to lease professionally, right, like a professional
Hmm.
student, if you're going to do that consistently, you need to be prepared for how much your price is going to go up over and over and over again. So there is a way to win the game, of course, and we'll talk about exactly what that is um, to get the best of both worlds. But you brought up the major points. You're often locked into a mileage limit. If you go over, you pay dearly on it.
Hmm.
Massachusetts on a lease, because we're in Massachusetts, and in many states, you still pay sales tax on the
Mm,
full monthly lease payment. So a lease payment of $300, we're at 6.25% tax. That's 318.75
hmm.
because of the sales tax, right? But you don't own that car.
Right.
If the car gets totaled, or somebody steals it, you may need to have gap insurance. There's a lot of things to cover. So we'll talk about that, but also whether to buy new or used and how your sister whether your sister or you are right about this decision.
All right, let's get your phone number in the meantime.
Of course, it's 413-773-3333.
Or you can visit hugyourmoney.com. We'll be back with part two of Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Ram, on WHMP.
Financial Fitness with the Money Doctor is underwritten by Franklin County Technical School. We build futures. Visit fcts.us or call 413-863-9561.
Welcome back to Financial Fitness. I'm Jess Tyler, along with the Money Doctor, Dr. Francis Ram. Hi.
Hi, I'm sharing with all our listeners all the stupid things I've done in my life about and why I'm qualified to help you figure this out, believe it or not. Um, yeah, so just before the break, we were talking about leasing and all the things that come along with that. And a couple of things that, I started to talk about were things like gap insurance. So
Mhm.
so most leases require you to buy gap insurance, okay?
Okay.
So if your car gets totaled while you own it, and it's worth more than your insurance is going to pay, they require you to have gap insurance. Now, if you buy it through the dealer, or you probably have it and don't even know it, believe me, if you
Mhm.
believe it or not, if you've gotten a lease, it's probably packed right into your little payment. So take a look at your contract. If you get it through the dealer, it's going to cost you $400 to $800 probably slapped on top of your purchase or on top of your lease price and factored into your payment. If you
Okay.
get it privately through your insurance company, it's probably between $2 and $8 a month.
Oh, wow.
But you could
That's good to know.
save
Yeah, you can
yourself a
save a
little money
bunch.
there on gap insurance.
Now, if
Um,
you've already got a lease and you go back and check, can you take the gap off of that and then go through, or no, you had to do it at the
I
beginning?
think it's already in your lease payment. I bet you could
Okay,
ask.
got
I
it.
mean, there's never any harm in saying, "Hey, I learned this." It's a phone call, or an email. You could
Yeah.
always ask. Yeah. So just knowing those kinds of things ahead of time can save you a lot of money.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's talk about buying, especially new versus used. Now,
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what you need to know, and I'm going to tell you how it works in Hugland. Okay? Because you may be very surprised to find that you can afford more car than you thought and pay it off sooner.
Okay.
One of my favorite things to do is to help people solve this car problem in a way that they're really happy. All of that being said, there are times when you simply need a car. It has to be reliable, and you cannot afford the payment on something new or used that is in very good condition. And
Hmm.
in those instances, I sometimes will recommend a lease for somebody, but with the caveat that you keep the lease payment. I told you there was a way to win this game. You keep
Okay.
the lease payment as low as you possibly can. You don't buy your dream car on a lease.
Hmm.
You get a car that is adequate, that will get you through the next 3 years. Maybe you don't love it. It doesn't have every bell and whistle, but the lease payment is $200 a month or whatever, and you can afford
Right.
it. And you might be able to start from that point and plan forward to make a down payment, improve your credit, get to the next level. But don't lease and forget that you leased unless you want to be stuck in a payment. And I'm going to use that word, stuck in a payment forever. Okay. Um, and that's really the way you win the game. You never lease more car than you could afford to buy.
Okay. Quick question
Possible.
on that. Should you put money down in a lease?
You'll be required to put some down with some leases. There's no way around it for some leases, unless you
Okay.
have like a zero down lease thing. And should you, you know what, putting money down on a lease, check how much it lowers your payments. It usually doesn't lower your payments by enough to change your life. And
Hmm.
the money you're putting down, if that was your emergency cash reserve, that might
Yeah.
change your life. So
Okay.
balance that out. Yeah. So whether you buy new or used, okay, used cars can make a lot of sense for a number of reasons. I mean, we all know what they are. They're lower sticker price. There's less depreciation, more flexibility, but there's a trade-off. Okay.
Hmm.
The interest rates on used cars are often higher than on new cars.
Hmm.
And the terms for your loans are often shorter than on new cars.
Okay.
So the payment on a used car can be uh, fairly similar or closer, can ease in closer to the payment on a new car because of those things. because of a lower interest rate and a longer term on a new car, sometimes those payments, otherwise people wouldn't buy them, can be
Mhm.
appealing compared to a used car. Okay. Plus, repair costs might hit you a little sooner on a used car. With a new car, you might get a lower interest rate, 7-year loan, whatever, right? So you get more manageable payments. At first blush, that longer term loan can seem scary,
Mhm.
right? Now, remember, I said I'm not telling you what you should do, and I'm really not. Any of these options might be the right option for anyone listening.
Okay.
Whether they're the right option for you or not, we don't know yet. Okay. So that longer term loan can seem really scary. I'm going to take out a loan for $28,000 and it's going to be for 7 years and I'm going to make this payment. But ironically, it can work in your favor.
Mhm.
Mm, It can work in your favor. I'll get to how, but let's first go over a little bit of math on it. Now, it's always hard to do math on the air because, you know, many people just bristle at the thought of math. But it's necessary in this case, I think, and I'll go slowly, and I think everyone will get this concept.
Okay.
Let's say that you're deciding between a $28,000 new car
Mhm.
with a 7-year loan, and the rate is 5.9%. Okay. So that's going to give you a monthly payment of $407.70. Let's call it $400 for ease of figuring. Okay.
Okay.
Or a $16,000 used car with a 5-year loan at 7.5%. These are pretty typical numbers. Okay.
Okay.
So more expensive new car, longer loan, lower interest.
Mhm.
Less expensive used car, shorter loan, higher interest.
Mhm.
Okay, feel where I'm going here. All right. The used car is cheaper up front, right? 16,000 versus 28,000, but not by that much in a month-to-month payment because your used car payment is about $320.
Okay.
320.61 to be exact. So $320 for the used car, $407 for the new car. All right. That's not the win. But I just want to point out that because of the terms of these loans, that's the beginning of what makes the difference. Okay. Here's the key. In real life, your car payment doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? Most people make these decisions like they're decisions about debt, right? Like checkers versus chess. Okay.
Mhm.
So most people have credit cards, student loans, mortgages, other things. Yet they're deciding about their car as a one-off.
Mhm.
Isolated, we say, which car decision do we make? In fact, that's where the real opportunity lies. That's what we do for a living, right? Is to turn that checker game into a chess game.
Okay.
Instead of treating your debt like you're jumping checker pieces, instead of that, we're working it like a chess game. We're looking out 5, 10, 15, 20 moves ahead. How will this affect your overall picture? Because we don't tell you what kind of car to buy. I don't want to tell somebody what kind of car to buy, right?
Mhm.
But we do help you see how that fits into your entire financial picture. Let's say your total monthly debt payments are $3,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay. Including your new car, all your debts, including your new car. If our algorithm helps you pay off all your debt 6 months faster,
Mhm.
which it would, because at some point the car becomes a priority debt and gets what we call margin. That's the money you have because you paid off some debts already and speeds up everything behind it. If our plan helps you pay that off 6 months earlier, $3,000 a month in payments, 6 months savings is 18 grand.
Mhm.
That's what you're avoiding in payments.
Right.
That means that $28,000 car, just by utilizing our system, as long as that $400 payment is affordable for you, all of the things that we help you look for, right? That
Mhm.
means you've saved $18,000. That means that might feel like a $10,000 car to you in hindsight, in real life impact. All right, it's always difficult to try to explain the math to people without just saying, look, it's different. That's why we have a patent. Okay.
Right.
You're gonna have to
Exactly.
trust me on this and go to the website, just plug in your numbers, hit the button, and you will see without
Right.
talking to a person whether what I'm telling you is true or not and where those loans land. Okay.
Mhm.
Buying a car is never It's never about just buying a car,
Hmm.
right? We think it is.
Yeah,
It's
there's more to
really,
it.
yeah, it's really about your future, right?
Hmm.
And with Hug, it's this we call it Hug instead of Hug Your Money for short. So with Hug, it's just making smart vehicle decisions. I promised to let you talk about your sister and you, and what's the argument? Tell me that.
Oh, just really quick. My car's got about 145,000 miles on it right now. But I paid it off last year. So I've had like a year of no payments. She thinks I'm rolling the dice every time I drive it because a big repair could come up. And I say, well, sure, it could, but I've saved a year's worth of payments. So that's where we are.
Well, I don't want to get a family fight started here. But yeah, the truth is, I think so here's the caveat from me. When you
Okay.
say I've saved a year's worth of payments, have you just stopped making the payments and absorbed it into everyday expenses, or are you actually stashing those payments into an account?
Oh, that's so funny, Dr. Francis.
Why?
I mean, have you met the kids? Of course I'm spending it.
Okay. Well, again, how to win the game. Both you and your sister have a point. Okay.
Okay.
I wouldn't say either one of you is right. I would lean more heavily
But you
toward
can, but
your
you could if you wanted to. Go ahead.
Well, I know that you have this sparring thing with her, but I would lean more heavily toward your camp in that uh, you are able to, buying a car because something might come up is not at 140,000, you're getting up there, but it's certainly not on its last legs unless it's been treated really badly, right?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, the guy I just talked to had 240,000 on his
Oh,
vehicle.
wow.
And,
Okay.
and he went for a repair and, tried to drive it out, and there was another major problem, and he was like,
Uh,
okay, I got to do this.
yeah.
And it was major. But at 140,000, maintain it, drive it if you like the car, but do what we're telling you to do, Jess. If you were
Yeah.
in our portal, that money would have been recommended to go to the next debt, and that debt would then get paid off faster and faster. And
All joking aside, I've used it to pay off some credit cards and stuff.
thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's the thing to do is that oh, I don't want to, that's up to you to say, not for me to say on the air. So if you were saving these payments into a side fund for the next down payment on the next car, it's not too late to
Hmm.
start that, by the way, Jess.
Okay.
Pretend that you're still making that payment. I don't care if you have to automate it in your account to go
Hmm.
out of your checking account into that side fund for the car, fine. Even if all it does is pay for your repairs, that's worth doing.
All right. Well, what I've got from this is that I'm right, my sister's wrong. So thank you very much. I'll let her know that the money doctor said so.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that phone call.
I mean, I think we need a part two of this conversation because we're out of time, but really good tips. Any last thoughts on this?
Yeah, read the fine print. Don't buy with your heart. Walk away from the dealer for a moment. I don't care if you have to go have lunch, whatever. Make a
Hmm.
phone call, get on our website, do whatever you got to do to get the information you need. This is a big decision and you want to make it wisely and enjoy driving that new vehicle and not be driving it around thinking, "Oh, what have I done?"
Mm. All right. Let's get your phone number.
Sure, 413-773-3333.
And you can always go to hugyourmoney.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jess.
Underwritten by Hug Your Money.
Mission granted, chase your dream.
Hug Your Money, where financial wellness gets personal.